Hey guys, this is Cade Lamb with Fear Not Do Right, and this is the Fear Not Do Right podcast. Today I'm here with someone a lot cooler than I am.
No,
way more
not true.
famous. That's definitely true.
You're cooler, I think.
You guys know her as the combat Barbie, but to me, she's just Rianna.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm shaking.
She's shaking because she's nervous. So we're here in Barbie's dream house.
Yeah.
Super cool, by the way. Congratulations.
Thank you. Work my ass off. Can I cuss on this podcast?
Yeah.
You bleep it out? I'll work my tail feather off for this.
We'll cuss on the podcast. You can cuss on the podcast.
I'm very
It's okay.
vulgar, so I apologize in advance.
Well, I mean, we definitely, I don't know if my grandma's going to listen to this.
Oh,
but
see? You could put a bleep over the... You're going to have to probably do that.
I'm just going to put one of those little explicit content disclaimers in front. I mean, I already have a show with that. I think the show with Matt Thomas, he was like, he was saying something. I was like, oh, that's explicit.
Yeah. Everything I say is explicit.
Well, I mean, it kind of comes from being a Marine.
Oh, yes, because I talked this crazy before. Yeah, before
the Corps?
Yeah, my childhood. I grew up on a farm in the middle of California, and we're all cussing. My grandpa, I'm not going to say what he said, but get your A up and pick them raisins at 4 a.m. and start in the tractor. And yeah.
Was it like that one scene from Holes where the girl's like, I'm tired of digging holes, Grandpa? And he's like, well, that's too damn bad.
Yes, exactly. He's like, you want a new pair of shoes? I almost said dig. Go pick 2 rows of raisins, and 1 row takes 6 hours. So I'm like 12 hours of work. You know, every day after school, out there in the farms picking raisins. Every weekend, every summer vacation. Summer vacation wasn't a thing growing up. It was just, he was a hard ass. Can I say ass? I'll try to stop, but that's where I got my mouth from. So, yeah.
So is that were things like that, like hard work on the farm, California? That's like Central Valley, right?
Yes, Central Valley, California, the heart of California. And this is a fact, 70% of the world's food comes from Central Valley and California, which is ironic because we're in a drought right now, but it's a man-made drought. And that's another thing. So there's this little fish called the Delta schmelz, and it's the size of your fingernail, tiny little fish, and they're endangered in the Delta. So they put a restriction on all the water in the Central Valley. And I was like, you know, we always say, F the schmelt. Like, who cares about this little fish? Let them extinct. We need water for our farms. And so the water got so bad. We had 40 acres. We can only water 20 acres, so that's half our crop. And then we're not meeting the quotas. We gave our raisins to Sunmade, the company Sunmade. If you look on the back of all the raisins, it says from Central Valley, California. And sometimes it says from Kerman, where I'm from. We'd give them like 13 ton every 6 months. And then when the drought came along, we were doing barely half of that, barely scraping by, and only making $20,000 a year. So it's hard work for little pay. Farmers feed America. And it's crazy. My grandpa has a sign that said, next time you gripe, I should say that instead of the B word. Next time you gripe about a farmer, make sure your mouth isn't full, because that's hard work, man. And it was hard, but that was my life, so I didn't know any different. And I was grateful for everything, you know, if that makes sense. Like, I was happy that we could do that, you know? I don't know.
Well, there's a lot of pride that comes in hard work. Like,
Yes.
when you actually like achieve something, and I think farming is such a, you know, people, especially nowadays, people are gardening, people are doing like their own little small hobby farms.
It's good.
And there's just that sense of accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's almost like how kids nowadays have pets instead of kids.
Yes.
Because they can raise, and there's an intrinsic need inside of everybody to take care of something.
Yes, to nurture. It's in us. I don't know how or why. You could say it's from God or what, but it's in us to nurture and to care. So I think it's awesome.
Now, you didn't learn that in the Marine Corps, did you?
The nurturing and care or what?
Nurturing and care, that's one of the Marine Corps values, is it not?
Honor, courage, commitment. I don't think nurturing and care is in there, no.
So what inspired you to be a Marine? Because not many, I mean, now it's a little bit different. You see more females going into the military, going into the Marine Corps particularly.
Yes.
But what really got Rianna Carpenter in a pair of boots?
So growing up on a farm, my family is super conservative Republican, extremely. They're super patriotic, love the military. And so growing up, we knew we were too poor for any of us to go to college. You either work on the farm, and most of my family does, you work there, you die there, or you join the military. And everyone is so invested in the farm. But I don't know, looking around as a kid, it's weird how you come to this realization as a kid when everyone around you is just working and dying on the farm, I looked up and I said, I don't want this for my life. I'm appreciative of it, and I love my family, and I love everything. You know, 5 generations ago, my grandpa came from Sicily, Italy, Wallace Giacolini, and started that farm. He was the first to start that farm in Kerman, California. He actually helped name the town, and I have newspaper clippings. That's been in my family, but I looked around and I was like, I don't want this. So what are my options? Join the military. And my family's super patriotic. So they're like, if you're leaving here, you're going to the military. Like, that's what you're doing. I'm like, yep. You know, so I graduated high school, actually the first to graduate high school for my family, because back in the day, you could drop out of high school to work with your family. That was a thing. So my grandma Joyce did that. My mom did that, you know. Everyone, you can do that. But I was like, I want to graduate. And, you know, my sisters and brothers dropped out for various reasons to work and, you know, stuff like that. And then they went to night school to try to finish it up. But anyways, I graduated. And I actually graduated, and I could show you my plaque. It's in the other room. I'm very proud of it. I got most inspirational senior in my high school.
Wow.
Yes. So it's probably because on the farm, I don't know if I told you, I grew up in a 1-bedroom shack. Like, I didn't have anything, but I was just happy to be there. And I started off really troubled in school, you know, because I'm always working on the farm and just not focused on. I thought school was pointless, like, you know, so, and then I turned my grades around and started like motivating all my classmates to graduate on time with our class. And I was actually a year behind because I just didn't care for a while. And then I turned it around. I took actually night classes to catch up with my graduating class of 2010. So I graduated high school, and then I'm like, all right, time for the military. I rode my bike to the recruiter station because obviously I didn't get a car. You know, some kids get their first car at this age or get a cell phone. I didn't get any of that. I didn't get that until I joined the Marine Corps. So I rode my bike up to the recruiter station, and all the recruiting stations were in a row, and it was like glass windows so you could see inside all of them. And Army and Marine Corps intimidated me, so I was like, I'm going to join the Air Force because that scares the crap out of me. So let me go to the Air Force, you know, and I'm pretty smart. Let me try that. I'm sitting in the Air Force recruiter's chair. I'm signing my life away, basically. He's like, yeah, we can get you in right away. And then through the glass window, I look, the corner of my eye, see a Marine walk by in his dress blues. It was a recruiter. And I was like, whoa, hold on. Like, what? And then the Air Force recruiter's like, what are you doing? Focus. Like, come on, sign these papers. And I see him walk by, and I said, I'll be right back. And he's like, no, don't go, because he knew I wasn't coming back. I walk out there, and I'm like, wow. So it wasn't because, you know, people were like, oh, you thought he was handsome or something, or sexy in the dress blues. Dress blues are a sexy uniform, but I didn't even think about I wasn't attracted to him in that way. I thought there's something about the uniform and about the way he was carrying himself, the way he walks, everything, you know, there's like a presence with that. It's intimidating, and it's just like, whoa. So I followed him into the Marine Corps office, and I was wearing like a pink tank top, and I'm a super skinny girl. I think I was like 90 pounds at the time, blonde streaks in my hair. And I said, hey, I want to become a Marine. And he's like, you? And I'm like, yeah, me. And I'm thinking the same thing he is. I'm, you know, this little girly girl, like, how the heck? And he literally was like, okay. He laughed it off, and I said, no, I'm serious. I want to become a Marine. And I didn't even know if there was female Marines. I'm like, there's female Marines, right? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, let's do this. And I'm looking around at all the posters, and I see all like the McMap posters of people like throwing each other and all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, it scares the crap out of me, but I want to at least try it. I didn't think I was going to make it at all, but I wanted to at least try so I wouldn't spend the rest of my life wondering what if. And that's kind of my mentality with everything I do in life. At least give it a go, you know? And if I didn't make it, I would just go back to the Air Force option like I wanted to. But I freaking made it. Somehow, some way, 3 months of hell, I made it. And that was the best decision I've ever made. So, and it gave me confidence I've never had before in my life. So, yeah.
What was it that you did in the Marine Corps?
So when I walked up to him during that conversation, I said, I don't want to fight and kill. I just want to be the one that helps the person that fights and kills. So he's like, what are you getting at? I'm like, do you got a desk job? And he said, yes, we do. How about supply? And I said, let's do it. And he actually sent me off a week later. And I knew nothing about the Marine Corps or the ranks or anything. I didn't. And he's like, let's go. And I was like, oh, I'm going. Like, I left. I had nothing to lose, everything to gain. So I was supply. So bullets, beans, Band-Aids, boots. That was me. So, and it's funny, in supply school, they always say, bullets don't fly without supply. Someone got that tattooed on them too. I thought that was ridiculous.
Someone actually got that tattoo?
Yes.
Was it like a barracks tattoo, where it's like
yes.
kind of like a prison tattoo?
Yes, but it was across his chest and like
Ooh.
chicken scratch writing. I'm like, why did you?
Ooh.
Yeah, so kind of funny.
I'll tell you what, those Marines are a different breed.
Yes, they are, jarheads.
I mean, like being airborne infantry, you know, we're a crazy bunch ourselves,
Yes.
but like the man, especially the 03 series dudes.
Oh God.
Shout out to my infantry boys.
Yeah.
Like,
ruthless. Crazy.
they're just nuts.
Yeah.
And there's like a weird, I don't know if weird is the right word, but there is such a lobotomizing esprit de corps in the Marine Corps.
How dare you? But true.
I mean, you'll never meet a Marine who denies it.
Yeah.
Well, you know how to tell if someone's a Marine, right?
They'll tell you.
Yeah, they'll tell you.
Yeah.
It's like
yeah.
CrossFit or being a vegan.
Well,
or...
we're fucking proud. Excuse my French. Like, I'll try to be better at cussing, but we're proud. You know, the few, the proud. And it's funny because female Marines are only 7% of the Marine Corps. Back at the time when I joined, so our saying is the fewer, the prouder. That's not a real word, prouder, but, you know, we're really, really, really proud. So, yeah.
Do you think you had a different experience being a female in the Marine Corps?
Oh, yes.
Than what a typical Marine would, or even today a female in the Marine Corps would have?
I don't know about today. A lot of things have changed, thank God, because I have a friend who's actually active duty, and it's funny, she's in the other room right now. And the craziest thing is I was her sergeant during boot camp for team week. And it's crazy because they had to go hang out with supply, and I was, you know, move these boxes in the warehouse. We could have them for a week, and I'm like, go mow the grass. And I was her team leader, and she's like, you inspired me. You let me know that you could be a girly Marine and still have your femininity and be around all these grunts, all these crazy dudes, you know. But yes, being a female in the military, in the Marine Corps specifically, I don't even know how to describe it. It was something else. I don't know how to describe it. I can get into it, but...
Well, you definitely set yourself apart in the Marine Corps from just conversations that we've had in the past. Like, you really got after it.
I wanted to be the first female sergeant major of the Marine Corps. There's never been one still to this day, and that was my goal. You think about it, I had nothing before the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps was my everything. I lived and breathed the Marine Corps. When I first joined, God, I'm a shadow of what I used to be. When I first joined, I made sure I got a 300 PFT, 300 CFT. I made sure I could do pull-ups. I used to be able to do 8 pull-ups, which back then, 6 of them would be 100 points. And I'm like, I want to do 8. I want to do as many as I can. I used to be the fastest runner in my battalion, supply battalion. I'd be there with the flag in front of it. I got the highest shooter in my regiment. I wanted to be the first female sergeant major of the Marine Corps. That was my goal. And I lived and breathed it. Every part of my day was Marine Corps.
Well, that's kind of what coined you the nickname Combat Barbie, right?
Yes.
Remind me again. It was a shooting competition, or
no? I was going to go to Pet Qual. Pet Qual is when you go up against other branches of the military to see who's the highest shooter. I didn't do it because the culture of the Marine Corps. Right when I got a expert shooter badge, I got expert a few times in a row, and I posted a picture of it. In the Marine Corps, you're allowed to get your nails French manicure, just like one white strip on the end of your nails. That's all you can do. So I had that because I'm like, I could be I want to cuss. I could be a badass and still be myself. Like, that is my goal, and that's been my goal since I joined. I took a picture with my little nails done and my blonde streaks in my hair. And I was like so excited. This is like my 3rd expert badge. They want me to go to Pet Qual. Like, I'm super, happy about that. I posted it to my Facebook at the time, and I didn't realize back then things could be like private or public. Mine was set on public for some reason. Marines that I worked with took that and spread it all over the internet. They're like, who the fuck does she think she is? I'll try to not cuss. She can't save me in battle. Like, what is she, a combat Barbie? And, stuff like that. They would say, who did she sleep with to get that badge? They're like, oh, she must have been on her knees a lot. That's what I got. And that was my first time dealing with that. And I was 19 years old, and I'm like, I didn't know how to deal with it. First off, I've been bullied in person before in elementary school, high school, but I've never been bullied online. That's a whole different beast. And I was, I think I was 18 turning 19. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. And it was not only being bullied online, but being bullied by fellow service members, fellow Marines. And it went all over these pages. I'm not going to give them clout and tell you what page it went super viral on. But I started getting all these followers, all these people. And so I'm like, what the heck? And everyone was talking about me every time I opened my phone. So, and everyone on base knew who I was because of that, because it went viral. And I remember walking into the chow hall, just trying to get some food, and everyone turns around, oh, look, it's Combat Barbie. And they're all pointing at me laughing. I was so embarrassed. I broke out in hives. And I went to my command, I told my command, and my commander was like, have her stay in her barracks room for a few days till this stuff cools down. So I stayed in my barracks room and I deactivated all my social media. At the time, I had an Instagram and a Facebook and a Twitter. I deactivated everything because I was like, no, I don't want people to talk to me. I want to be respected. I'm trying so hard to be respected and to be the best that I can be just because I have a vagina. Maybe I can't say this stuff on your podcast, but why am I want to be respected, like why it didn't make sense to me, and being so young and caring so much about the Marine Corps. So I deactivated everything, and I sat there for a few days, and even when I would go out to my car in the barracks parking lot, people out there would make fun of me too. So I'm like, I really got to stay in my room. Like, this is ridiculous. They'd come knock on my door like, come here, Barbie. And I'm like, dude, leave me alone. Like, just leave me alone. And then one day, I think it was like the third day, I'm sitting there in the morning, and I'm like, I'm not going to hide. That's not me. I got most inspirational senior. I'm loud and proud. Like, I'm trying to be the best I can be, and I'm not going to hide. I'm going to be who I am. So I reactivated everything, and I changed all my usernames to Combat Barbie. And I said, you know what? How can you make fun of me if I like it? I am the Combat Barbie. Well, then that went viral again. They're like, wow, she's accepting it. She's calling herself at this. And I'm like, yeah, I am. And it just kind of went from there. And then my whole Marine Corps career, it kind of sucked because I owned it. There's a saying from, what show is it from? The one with like the dragons. What show is that?
Dragon Tales?
No, it's the it's
Game of Thrones.
Yes, Game of Thrones.
Okay.
I guess there's a saying on that, like let it kill you or own it or put it on your shield or something like that. I can't remember the saying, but I owned it, and that pissed him off even more. But I'm like, I don't care. I'm gonna be a badass. I'm like, should I not cuss? I'm gonna be this, and I'm gonna be girly, and in fact, I'm gonna be more girly. I'm like, I'm going to be, and it's going to piss you off, but I can do my job just as good as you, if not better than you, which I got NAMS, which is the Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal for doing my job well, and get these scores and get these certificates, and show you that I could be me and do what you do or better. So my whole career, every time I check into a new unit, they'd be like, oh, we got Combat Barbie. So instantly everyone has their own thought about me, like, their own I don't know what the word is.
Preconceived notion.
Yes. Every unit I checked into. So it was a hard time. It was hard to get people to take me seriously. But I'm like, but do you see that I owned it? Like, and that I know it's stupid. For the record, it's a silly nickname. I have always known that. I hate it, but I love it. It's who I am. And they've made me, I am who I am. I just owned what they threw at me, if that makes sense. So, but for the record, it is silly. Like, I never thought it would be anything big, and it just kept growing and growing and growing and going viral. I've been viral like freaking 5 different times and posted on the most popular websites you can think of, like Maxim.com or Sports Illustrated or FHM or FoxNews.com, or I could go on and on and on. I just keep rolling with it. So, yeah.
You said that you kind of gave some cases of like interpersonal bullying and some of that culture behavior, but you also mentioned like some online bullying and stuff. What is the difference? Because for me, it's like, and maybe this is just because I'm a emotionally negligent person who is not super open to opening up.
Yeah.
But, with things like online bullying, a lot of people deal with that nowadays. Why don't you just like, oh no, someone said this about me on the internet. What if I just look literally anywhere else on the screen and can't read it and it's no longer a thing? Like, why? Like, what about just turning it off? How come that's not a thing?
Because I feel like that's weakness to me, so I lean toward it. Whenever someone's throwing me, I dive into it. I lean toward it. That's just who I am. Like, how dare you? I'm going to make it for me. You can't be against me. I'm going to turn it. I lean toward it. I don't know. That's just who I am. There's this saying, too, in the Marine Corps. It was like all over posters. It was like, Marines run toward the sound of chaos. And it's like Marines running into battle. I just lean into it. So.
How do you think that's helped you? I mean, because I'm experiencing this now as I'm transitioning out of the military myself, but there's a lot of lessons learned from your time in the service.
Yes.
Afterwards, how do you think the Marine Corps has helped? How do you think the Marine Corps prepared you for what you would experience after the Marine Corps?
Well, I wouldn't have anything right now in my life if I was never a Marine. It's the confidence, the the drive, the inability to give up, everything good about me came from the Marine Corps, you know? So I'm so blessed. I don't know if I should say blessed, because it's like people see that's the thing too. People are like, oh, I'm blessed. And maybe I am lucky or blessed, but also it's a lot of hard work. But everything good about me comes from being a Marine and everything I learned, you know, and I was taught. And I wouldn't have anything right now if it wasn't for that. I would have given up long ago, and you know, so yeah.
Yeah, a lot of those. I mean, and we've had a lot of prior conversations.
Yes.
To this one here, and you've dealt with some crazy, crazy stuff.
Yep.
After in your time in service, but particularly after your time in service.
Yes.
Things just got wild.
Yep.
Do you want to? I mean,
God.
Would you mind sharing? Not too much. I don't mean whatever if you're not comfortable with it, but
yeah, no, I'm comfortable with anything. I'm an open book, and I do not care. I'm not ashamed. I have 0 ounce of shame for anything in my life. But I won't get into the nitty gritty. But when you realize you have that much freedom, you drown in it. And it's funny. My grandfather told me that before I got out. He said, "Give a man that much freedom, he'll hang himself with it." And I'll never forget that. And boy, once you realize you're free from that cage, from that box, you know, you're not told what to wear, what to say, how to look, where to be. You are freaking free. And I was like, wow, this is this side of America I never got to experience, because I joined at 18. You know, I went from living on the farm to the Marine Corps. I never got those wild, crazy years. I never got the college experience where people are, you know, going wild, partying. I never got that, and I'll never have that, which is fine. I don't think I'm missing anything with that. But man, I was like, I can do and be whatever I want. Okay, let me try to figure out, what do I want to be? What do I want to do? Decided to move to Vegas. I actually got offered to be on a reality show because, like I said, I've already had the following before I got out. Been viral so many times. And someone said, hey, I would love to have Combat Barbie be on a reality show here in Vegas. And it'll just be like a day-to-day life as like an Instagram girl / veteran. Like, so I went to Vegas. I got scammed. It was a scam. It was during COVID, the height of COVID. And he kept saying, oh, I have VH1. They'll be here. The camera crew will be here. But COVID, they're delayed because of COVID. So I'm just going to film you on my phone and my camera. He also invited other girls from different walks of life. Like, he invited dancers. Like, there's people from Florida, from Texas, from everywhere. He invited all of us girls. We all had different stories to be here and live under one house. And the one key thing we had in common was we're popular on Instagram. So the day-to-day life of an Instagram model. I hate that term because we're so much more than that. But yeah, so scam. We all gave him at least $20,000. We ended up suing him. But I was like, well, I'm here now. I might as well make the best of it. You know what I mean? I'm very like much bloom where you're planted. I'm like, I came here for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. I wholeheartedly believe that. If I didn't believe that, I feel like I'd be dead by now. But everything happens for a reason. I'm going to make the best of it. So because I had clout on Instagram, I started getting invited to all these crazy parties. People that I've looked up to for years, celebrities. I've met a bunch of celebrities, crazy. These parties, these people have $1 million mansions, freaking $100,000 cars. They make millions of dollars and millions of followers. And I'm like, whoa. And I want to be like them. You know, they say you're the average of the 5 people you hang around. I'm like, these people are inviting me and hanging out with me. I want to be like them. The first party I go to, I'm just like in shock. These girls coming up to me, I'm like, oh my God, I've been following you for years. Like these super, super famous girls. And they're like, here, open your mouth, put this on your tongue. And I was so eager to fit in and be like them. I'm like, what are they doing that's different from me? How do they have all this like fame and money? I want to just do what they do. Well, I swallowed what she put on my tongue, and oh my God, that was the downfall of that all. For a year, heavily addicted to a bunch of substances. I wrote them down the other day. It was like 7 different things because all these people around me are doing that. And I wanted to be just like them, which sucks. It's not that they peer pressured me. I just wanted so badly to have that success and fame and, you know, be on their level. And then I slowly realized these people are miserable. I would go to their houses, they'd invite me over, and celebrities around everything, and they would cry and be like, I think about killing myself every single day. I'm not happy. And I'm like, what? You have $5 million mansions and you have all these businesses and these cars. I'm not happy. I want to die. And they're telling me this, and I'm like, it could be the drugs talking. And it also made me realize like money isn't everything. And now that I do have not as much as them, but comparative, or getting up there. It's not everything. And I realize there's so much more to life than material gain, So, but yeah, drug addiction, really bad in Vegas. It sucks because when I wanted to get clean and stop, these people would come over to my house or invite me over to theirs and just start all over again. Every house they went to had so many drugs. There's a table, piles of pills and powder and substances. You don't even know what you're taking sometimes. And like I said, I wrote a list of everything I've done. It is nuts. I don't know how I didn't die. Like I was doing uppers and downers, like doing Adderall and cocaine during the day, like 10 grams of cocaine a day, Adderall, and I'm sure the cocaine had meth in it. And then my heart was racing so bad I couldn't calm down. I was up for 7 days a week. I would sleep for like an hour a week, eat one bite of food a week, and I was just like, I'm dying and I can't stop. So I would do downers like Xanax to calm down, and my heart's like, what do I do? Up or down, up or down. Ended up in the VA hospital many times from thinking I'm overdosing. They had to, give me IVs to try to drain. It was horrible. But God, I was making a bunch of money because I was doing what these girls were doing. So it's like, I'm making so much money, but I'm dying in the process. It's crazy.
Was Vegas your first like introduction to like drugs?
Yeah, that's the first time I ever did drugs was in Vegas. Like the first time, I think I smoked weed once, like right when I got out of the Marine Corps. And then I went to Vegas and I went wild. It's hard not to when all these people around, you want to be like them, It's like, but then you realize after you get to know them personally, you're like, I don't want to be like you. I want to be everything opposite of you. Like this is horrible. Like there's got to be a way to be that successful and famous and not be an absolute junkie, So it's sad. I look back at my time there and I look at all these people, recently getting sober. They reached out to me. They're like, wow, you inspire me. The people that I look up to, did look up to until I figured out their real life. They're like, yeah, I want to get sober too. Like you inspired me. And I'm like, good, but I think you should get out of that place because my drug dealer lived across the street from me in Vegas. It's there. And then, I'd pay for some drugs. I was spending $2,500 a week on drugs and sometimes more. I'd pay for some drugs and he's like, oh, I give you 3 extra bags full, like just to keep me as a good customer. Like, so it's just everywhere. It's everywhere. It's impossible to try to get clean,
So how long have you been clean now?
So that's why I moved to North Carolina. I wanted to get so far away from that industry, and I could do my job anywhere, thankfully, on my phone. So I was like, how do I get so far away from it? I love the South because I was stationed in South Carolina for a while. I just love the South, and I met an Army dude here. So I was like, I might as well move to North Carolina. Weed is illegal in North Carolina. So I'm like, perfect. I wouldn't be able to find anything even if I tried. I'm going to try to get clean. I flew here. I moved here officially last August 28th. So it'll be 1 year clean on August 28th. So, that was just, oh God, it was so hard when I first got here. For weeks, I was withdrawing, sweating, crying, puking, telling him, I'm like, I want to die. We actually were driving to the store because I was like, I want to get some fresh air. I leave the house. Driving to the store, and I opened his truck. We're on the highway. I opened his truck door, and I was like, I'm going to jump out. I want to die. He grabbed me from jumping out. That's how bad my body was addicted to these substances, and you can't think properly. Your brain is addicted to these chemicals. So he helped me. A few good friends helped me. And then I realized, okay, I don't have drugs here. I still want to numb myself or feel, it was in that, drugs really rewire your brain. So I was like, I want to numb myself. I'm going to just start drinking alcohol. I was drinking about 3 bottles of tequila today. And because you were my friend at the time, when I met you last year, I met Kate actually last year around August timeframe when I moved here, like right away. So, but I started drinking alcohol crazy and almost dying multiple times as well. But yeah, you helped me, convince me to get sober and help me. And you were the only good role model because Kate is Mormon. He doesn't drink. Thank God. He's the only friend that wouldn't, encourage it. Or I don't think a friend is a good friend if they just let you be a train wreck. And he was a really good friend to try to like talk me out of it and be like, you're so much more than this. Remember what you've done and what you could do. So I decided to get sober, and now I've been 5 months sober from alcohol and almost 1 year clean from drugs. So
that's amazing.
Thank you.
What do you think was the biggest obstacle in getting clean and sober?
I don't know. So I have addictive personality. I don't know if it's because I have ADHD or what. I don't know. Labels, it's like when you label yourself as something, you're kind of like not playing the victim, but I don't know. But I have addictive personality, so when I find something I really like, I want to dive into it. I'm all or nothing with everything. That's probably why I became a Marine and everything else I've done in my life. I'm like, all or nothing, let's do this. So that was the hardest part for me to like learn that I could be okay without. Once you get a taste of that stuff, it's so hard. It's so addictive. All those chemicals in your body, it's so hard not to. And once everyone you know is doing it around you, it's so hard to say no and to stop. Because you're like, well, they're super successful, like, and they do more than me. Like, I can do this. It's fine, you know. So the hardest part was moving away, deciding to move away and start over. I've started over many times in my life. Well, obviously, you move around a lot in the military. I had to pick up and leave. But yeah, moving away from everyone I know. I didn't know anybody here. I met you here, thankfully, right away. But all I knew was my ex-boyfriend here, and that didn't work out. So that was the hardest part, is like moving someplace where you don't know anybody, and I'm so far away from my family in California, but I just had to do this. The West Coast is just horrible for me, so because it's easy access to everything there, you know.
So you think moving away was the biggest? That was getting clean, but
yeah,
I mean, alcohol is still super pervasive, pretty much everywhere in the United States, and it's. You know, I think it's really important that people have conversations like this one right now. Yeah, because I don't think there's anybody in the United States who doesn't know somebody who struggled with addiction. Yep. They either have experienced it themselves, they've experienced it with a family member or a friend or a loved one, or, you know, and a lot of times people are losing their friends and family to these addictions. Yep. It's horrible.
Yeah, and you know, even though we're on the farm, my family, addiction runs in my family really bad, and that was just a way to cope with everything or try to take the edge off or numb themselves from the struggles of life and, you know, being dirt poor and, you know, this and that. But it just makes you feel worse in the end. So I think while I was here I almost said North Dakota, North Carolina. I lived in North Dakota for a time. That's probably why I said that. I looked in the mirror when I was like wasted one time and I saw my family members. I was like, what? Like, what am I doing? Like, I have so much potential. I want to be alive. Like, why am I killing myself? Why? I don't understand. So that's what got me sober. What actually like stopped me was one night I got extremely wasted and one of my friends flew in from out of town. I was so embarrassed because she's such a good girl and doesn't drink at all. And I was like, not peer pressuring her, but I'm like, you should drink with me. Like, and she started and she's like, that's the first time I drank in years. And I was a train wreck. And that night I went into my bathroom and I had a wine bottle and I broke it, smashed it, and I put it up to my neck. When I told my boyfriend, I was like, I want to kill myself, which is not true. I don't want to die. But I was that wasted and in this like self-pity and like, that was a shocking moment. I'm like, whoa, what am I doing? Why am I don't know. That's why they call alcohol spirits. It just brings out all the bad. Like, any trauma or any bad that you've experienced that you think you've buried in the back of your mind, it brings it to the forefront of your mind. So I'm like, I don't need this. When I'm sober, I'm happy. I want to be alive. Stop. I need to stop. And so I stopped. I poured out everything. I had freaking hundreds of dollars worth of stuff. I just poured it all out and I was like, I'm done. Today I am done. And it's going to suck, but I can't keep doing this. And life is short and I don't want to live it miserable, dying, you know?
So how have you stayed sober since then? Because, I mean, most of the time people, especially in the community that we're in the military community, especially in Fayetteville, North Carolina out here, there's not a whole lot to do. There's a lot of bars. There's a lot of nightlife. So what do you do to stay sober?
Well, first off, I don't even let myself have anything in the house. And even, you know, well, my boyfriend at the time, well, he's ex now, but he would get cases of beer. But for some reason, when I look at stuff like that, I feel sick to my stomach. I don't want, like, I don't know how. So people are like, did you go to rehab? I'm like, no. And I've never gone to AA meeting. I went to rehab in Vegas briefly for, you know, drug addiction, but it was an outpatient rehab. So it was like, check in once a day, every day. We'll drug test you, blah, blah, blah. But I never went for alcohol or anything. it was just, when you're at rock bottom, what's the saying? When you're at rock bottom, you have nowhere to go but up. Like I don't ever want to be that person again. And it just clicked in my brain one day, and having good influences like you around also helped me. And I don't want to be that. I have so much potential, and, I want a great future. So what keeps me away from alcohol is I don't even go to bars or parties anymore. They don't interest me. I just don't care. There's nothing for me there. I don't care. And I don't keep anything in my house. But even if someone brings it around, I'm disgusted by it. I'm like, ew, to each their own, but I don't want anything to do with that, And I just journal a lot, and I try to meditate. It's hard for me because meditation, you have to get to a spot of like no thought, and my brain is always moving a million miles an hour. But yeah, I have a dream board, a vision board with all my goals. And right when I got sober, I was like, I want $1 million mansion. This used to be my goal before I started doing drugs or alcohol. Like, because I come from a 1-bedroom shack, I'm like, what's the opposite of that? $1 million mansion. And that's just been, my dream since I was a kid, because, we're taught like happiness is huge success like that and material gain like that. So I was like, okay, well, I can't do it wasted every day. So let me sober up and try to work on it. Anything is possible. I know that sounds cheesy, but I mean it, and it's so true. Anything is possible. You just have to believe it yourself. You don't need anyone else to believe it but you. You can do anything. Remember, any physical thing was first, or any material thing was first a thought in someone's mind. Like anything is possible. You can do it. So yeah, that's what motivates me to keep going, because I'm like, dude, if I can achieve $1 million mansion and get my shit together, but if I can do that in a few months of being sober, imagine in a year from now, I'm going to have 3, and I'm going to have multiple businesses, and I'm going to, you know what I mean? So that was a big motivation, was looking at my vision board. I highly recommend people. It sounds cheesy and like corny, but make a vision board, print out a picture, write stuff down, How do I get from point A to point B? It's possible.
I think manifesting stuff like that, like people, old school people, and I've been one of them. I'm one of them from time to time. I don't believe in that hippy dippy crap.
That's okay. It's a good balance, because I do.
Even we talk all the time. You're asparagus or Leo or whatever the hell it is. Yeah. Like, I don't know if any star constellation has anything to do with how I'm feeling on a certain day.
Yeah.
But as far as the energy that you're putting out there is definitely going to manifest a return.
Well, Nikola Tesla said everything is energy, period. It's true. Everything is energy. Our bodies emit energy. If you look at, there's so many studies on it. It's scientific. And the law of attraction, whatever you put out, you get back. It's the law of the universe. So whatever you put out there, you get back, and you have to believe it. Like the key to manifestation is envision yourself. You can picture it in your mind. You can completely do it. Everything I have in my life is because I've manifested it. Also, hard work. You have to work toward it, but you have to believe it. I told my family I'm getting $1 million mansion. They all laughed at me. When I told them I'm going to graduate high school, they all like, yeah, right. You're so far behind. When I told them to be a Marine, they literally laughed in my face. When I told them every time, I want to be on the cover of Playboy, they're like, no, you're not. Laughed in my face. I want to be on the cover of Maxim. They don't even have tattoo girls. I was the first girl in history, the entire history of Maxim magazine, to be fully tattooed. They let girls with tiny little like heart or butterfly tattoos, they make them cover them up. I'm the first one to fully be tattooed in that magazine. So they always laugh at me, but I believe it, and I can envision it, and it just takes you to believe in yourself. You don't need anybody else but you. You have to believe in yourself to the point where it's almost delusional. That's how much you have to believe in yourself, and you can achieve anything. If there's a will, there's a way. So
that is, it's funny because I was just recently in Nashville, and you want to talk about delusional belief in oneself.
Yeah,
that is Nashville, Tennessee.
Good, I love that energy.
Well, it's weird because you just see all these, the trope, the hungry musician trope, just grinding it out on Music Row every night of the week for nothing. For not even. I mean, it's weird because it feels like you hear the stereotypes of like girls shaking it for dollar bills, supporting single moms $1 bill at a time.
Yep.
And it's the same kind of thing with these musicians. These kids who are delusional in believing in themselves and their abilities. And you know what? Some of them are actually out there making it. It's
I
crazy.
was gonna say those are the ones that are gonna make it. Like my friend Jelly Roll, he's been doing this for freaking decades, and he was a rapper. And now he's number one on the country charts across America or across the world, Billboard and rock charts. And I'm like number one on rock and country. And he was a rapper, and he moved to Nashville, and he's just believes in himself, man. You know.
Shout out to Jelly Roll.
Yes, love him.
If you're listening to the show, big shout out.
Yes, maybe you can interview him one day.
Yeah, we'll have to get him on. We'll have to get him on here. Jelly Roll, if you're listening to the show, hit me up. We'll get you on the Fear Not Do Right podcast.
Yes.
So, what are you manifesting right now? I mean, you've overcome, these enormous trials of addiction and the things that you went through in the military. The way some of the trials that you had in your upbringing. What is your vision now? Because you've kind of come over the hump now. So what's the next move?
I want to disappear. And I don't mean that like I want to die. I want to be so wealthy I never have to be on social media again. I never have to be known again. I want to disappear. So how do I do that? Because right now, obviously, my income comes from being on social media, which I've done that now for almost 12 years. And I'm like, it's an end of an era. I'm ready to disappear. So starting businesses here in the town I live in. Thank God it's a military town. So businesses like laundromats, coffee shops, stuff like that to get away from being a piece of meat online. I want to, what's the saying? Work from the neck up. I want to use my brain. I don't want to use my body anymore. So it's been real. It's been fun, but it has not been real fun. And that's what I want to do. I want to disappear. And so investing in real estate as well. God, houses are so cheap here. I could freaking buy a house in cash. My goal is to buy one every year in cash. So... And I can do that and then rent them out because the military town, that's a good turnover. Everyone's going to be, It's not like I live somewhere random where, will someone rent my house? No, I know for sure someone will rent my house. So I'm just going to focus on doing that. And I just turned 30 a few weeks ago. And that put a lot of things in perspective. I want to settle down and have children. It's my biological destiny and I want to fulfill that. And I just we have this, I don't care what, for people that say they don't want kids, especially women, they're denying this like need in us, this like motherly instinct. It's in us. Even if you say you don't, you do. And so I think I want to do that in about 5 years. 35 seems like a good age. So until then, I need to bust my ass and build these businesses so that my children are set up and my grandchildren are set up so they don't have to work in the fields and pick grapes till they die. So
I feel like a lot of people are trying to get off social media now. I think people are, what do you think? Why do you think that is?
Well, it's just like anytime I log onto any app, I have anxiety. Well, first off, because everything's all politics now. Even people that you don't think would post politics, they do. I even unfollowed a bunch of political pages because I'm like, this is just a lot of anxiety. The world is gone to crap, and we all know that. And everyone's freaking out. And I don't know. Where would you? Sorry, I just see I'm getting anxiety thinking about it. What was your question again? Sorry.
Why do you think people want to get off social media so bad?
It's just a game, a big game. It's all a pissing contest. Like, oh, my house is bigger than yours, or I got a Lamborghini. Which, by the way, I had a Lamborghini. I bought it for somebody, and I took it back and sold it. And I can show you guys pictures. But all that stuff is bullcrap. It's all like, oh, look at me, look what I've done. But be happy for you. Get stuff for you. Proof stuff for you. Like, why do you need the whole world to just tell you good job? I don't know. I think we're all connected, and I think the connected consciousness is kind of waking up, and we're like, there's more to life than how many likes and comments and followers you get. Because if I were to die tomorrow, people would be like, oh, she had this following. No, people are going to remember what I did for other people, how I made people feel while I was alive. You know what I'm saying? And if social media were to go away tomorrow, say Mark Zuckerberg or someone was like, okay, bye. How's your real life? Are you really happy in real life, or are you just happy on social media? And for a while I was just happy on social media. My real life was crap. And so I'm making it, taking steps to make my real life enjoyable. I'm just done with the social media. So, but I'm still playing this little game. And, and I'm talking bad about social media, but I have connected with people I never thought I would connect with. And every time I do one of these podcasts, people reach out to me. They're like, wow, I never knew. First off, people are like, wow, you're down to earth. I didn't even know that. People think I'm stuck up or like snooty. I'm like, I am the farthest from stuck up. I'm a normal person. I am normal. I'm a little bit weird. a lot of bit weird, but
I can attest to both of those things. Normal and weird is very true.
yeah, but I'm down to earth, right? So I'll never judge somebody, and I would bleed my veins dry to help other people, give them the shirt off my back, which I've done before. And where was I going with that? I don't know.
I think why people are trying to get off social media and I think you're right. Like people really are kind of waking up. I think, it's like that. We're hitting the end of the flash of the pan. In the early 2000s, there was this whole the reality wave came in, like the reality TV wave came in the early 2000s, and then it became manifested in social media where it's like, hey, guess what?
Social media is in your reality
TV. You
TV.
are the reality now.
Yep.
It's your own reality show that people can like and comment, subscribe to, and now people are like, oh wait, that was super dumb, dude. It's we're gonna be looking at social media here in a few years. Like people look at Von Dutch hats.
Yeah,
they're just like
they made a comeback. It's weird.
Did they really?
Yes, everyone's wearing them now. I'm like, why?
I think it's because they did that. They did a documentary on.
That's probably why.
Hulu,
there you go.
Which was actually really good. It was really good. I mean, just as a brand owner and marketing and all that stuff. A lot of really crazy insights.
Well, same with the Victoria's Secret one.
The pink?
It's called Angels and Demons on Hulu, and it's freaking nuts. First off, accomplished to Jerry Epstein. Jerry Epstein got all his money from the guy that owned Victoria's Secret. Victoria's Secret guy owned a crap ton. Every basically name brand apparel that you can think of, he owns it all. This one guy. And he was just giving Jerry Epstein, he let him live with him on his property and was giving him millions and millions of dollars, made him his financial advisor because Jeffrey Epstein had dirt on him. He was a smart man in that way. And you should watch that. It's called Angels and Demons, and it talks all about that, but freaking nuts. But yeah.
Is that like technically a conspiracy theory?
Oh, no. Epstein did not kill himself. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's a fact. Come on.
All these people are owned by Jeffrey Epstein?
Yes. He did it on purpose. He's smart.
I mean, it's weird because I didn't really experience it, but we had a little bit of a thing like that where it's like in Iraq, there was a couple of dudes that were up to nefarious activities, and they would hold that dirt over, like, you try to get other people involved in it, and it's like when you don't get involved, they don't like that.
Yep.
Was that a thing in Vegas?
People holding, blackmailing people, basically?
Yeah.
Yes, very much so.
You don't have any, did you ever have to deal with any of that?
I did, yeah.
Ooh.
And I have, I don't even want to say. Let's just say, anyone that has anything on me, I have a whole album of stuff on you, so come for me, I dare you.
Ooh. That's kind of heavy.
Yeah, I'm good, though. I'm all about peace, love, and happiness. Just keep that BS negativity away from me. But if you come for me, see, it's like, people are like, oh, you lover or a fighter? I'm like, I'm both. I'm a lover and a fighter. I don't want to be a fighter, but if I have to be a fighter, I will be a fighter.
See, I'm the opposite. Are you a lover or a fighter? Yes, I love to fight.
Nice. Ooh, I'm going to say that.
I love to fight.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, is probably not a good thing, but...
No, well, the saying, I'd rather be a... What's the saying?
It's, I'd rather be a warrior in a garden than
Yes.
a gardener in a war.
Yes, there you go. There you go.
Which I think a lot of people are getting back to that. I think it's that whole exodus from social media. People are just like, dude, this is stupid.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go live my life, and just like you said, look at having a family, look at filling that need.
Yes, because it is very much a need in us.
When did you realize that you needed that?
Oh gosh, since I was a freaking kid and then a teenager, and I've been married and divorced 3 times. Come for me if you will, But I am a very hopeless romantic. So this is a thing. I know girls that have slept with hundreds of guys. Not me. I can fit the number of guys I slept with on both of my hands. The only thing is, would you rather be with a girl that sleeps around and dates a lot and doesn't marry, or would you rather be with someone that finds someone and wants to settle down and spend the rest of their life with them and gets married? So yes, I've had 3 divorces, but I legit thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with these people. And each marriage, we tried to get pregnant. I never did. And every time I would go to the doctor, I would go to civilian doctors and military doctors. They said, you're perfectly healthy. And one of the doctors told me, it's just God's timing, honey. And I was like, what? You're a doctor. You can say that? So I'm perfectly healthy. It's just, but I've been wanting to have a child for years. And I still do, but I want to be more financially set up and give my children the world. Also, I want to shield them from the world. I'm definitely homeschooling. Hell no, I'm not sending them to public school or even private school. To be indoctrinated, and that no, I don't want them to. No.
Are you telling me you're not a fan of Drag Queen Story Hour?
Oh hell no. I mean, drag queens are great, but don't teach that to innocent children. What are you doing? I can't. They're so impressionable. Why would you put that in their brain? Let them grow up and decide for themselves if they like that stuff or not. Don't force that into their brain and their psyche. They're very fragile. I have nothing against drag queens. Some of my best friends are gay or trans. You can do whatever you want, be whatever you want, and I love that we have the freedom to do that. But don't push it on innocent children. So
I think when you start transgressing against kids, honestly, there's a couple of dudes that I've had the opportunity to work with who are very good representatives of the LGBT community, where it's like, oh, that dude swings that way. Wild. Would have never thought.
Yeah.
And having that manner of just like being a decent person speaks volumes over, having to be like, hey, listen, if your child doesn't like that big, gaudy, drag, trans stuff, you're a hateful person. It's like, no, dude, you can't emotionally blackmail people like that. You can't emotionally blackmail kids like that.
Yeah. And it's the parent. The parent should have full power over what they want their kids to see or not. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Does that make sense right now? Did that come out right?
I think so.
They're the ones in control of how their kids are raised. They should be. They shouldn't have someone else shape their kids into, it's the parent's choice. Like, that's your children. And until they're 18, like, it's your job to raise them right. So
raising your kids right is going to be, and I'm sure anybody who's a parent is probably just laughing their ass off right now. It's just like, what do these idiots know? They don't
you're
know
right.
anything.
We're not in that situation, but.
So it's all about homeschooling.
Yes.
Protecting them from bad stuff.
Yes.
Bad stuff.
But also letting them know, I mean, I wouldn't say while they're tiny, teeny babies, but maybe when they're a little bit older, like, let them be aware of the evil in the world. They have to be aware of it. Let them know what's right and what's wrong. Probably maybe when they're like 10 or 11, I don't know. Let them know that there's bad guys out there. There's a lot of evil in the world. But there's also a lot of good. And I don't know. It's like you said, we don't have kids, so we don't have, I guess, a leg to stand on. I have an idea of what I think of how I want to raise them, but you don't know until you're in that situation.
Well, and again, silver lining is with all the stuff that you've had the displeasure to incur, that silver lining of having to go through all that stuff is what's out there.
Yes.
And the best way to combat all that stuff.
Combat Barbie. Yes.
Combat Barbie. There you go. We're going from camis and boots into how do we combat the real bad stuff out there.
See, you can tune it out or you can lean toward it. And I really applaud people that are running for Congress, that are trying to fix this. They're leaning toward it. Right now, when it comes to the bad in the world, I'm kind of just focusing on me and doing my own thing. I don't know, but see, that's why I get so much anxiety about it, because I feel like I have to do something. I feel like it's like I have to help, but how do I help? So I do post political stuff every now and then on my story. And I lose a lot of followers every time I do, but I'm like, okay, bye. I didn't want you in the first place. If you're going to agree with this craziness or disagree or whatever, I don't know. So
I think it's wild how everything has become so politicized, because a lot of it isn't political.
Yeah.
When you think about, like, for example, we were just talking about the drag queen story hour. That's not a political issue. That's just an issue of
decency.
General sanity, general decency we all live in a society, whatever that you just can't have that. And to make it a political issue is even it furthers that insanity. What the hell are you talking about? That's a political issue. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. Everyone, I would think, has a general consensus. Yeah. Hey, we shouldn't
talk about sex with kids.
We shouldn't sexualize children.
Yes. What the hell? Yeah.
And that's and you obviously have a lot of experience with that side of the world.
The adult industry, and kids should be shielded from any of that. What the heck?
And you've seen the darkest of it.
Oh, yes.
I mean, you've told me a couple of stories where it's just like, holy crap.
Unbelievable.
I didn't know people were I didn't know people were capable of that kind of a thing.
Oh yeah.
So as we kind of, what would you say are the most important things that Americans today can do to avoid some of the dark things that you've seen? I mean, whether it be through addiction, Vegas, the Marine Corps, has its own, any branch of the military has its own problems.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not infallible. What are the biggest takeaways that you have that Americans today can apply to their lives to protect their children, to protect their own rights and liberties, and to be more free Americans?
It all starts with a family unit, a strong family unit. That's the only way we take this country back and make it better. It's you. Both parents have to be present and be accountable for yourself. If you're a shitty parent, excuse my French, you're gonna have to bleep this stuff out. Take a look in the mirror and realize what you're doing. You're affecting future generations of this country. Like, it all starts with a family unit. It needs both parents present. Even if you only, you're a single parent, like, be the best you can be, because that is our future right there. The children are our future. And that's why they're trying to indoctrinate our children, because they know that's the future of this country. Let's make them as jacked up and twisted in the mind as possible. That's how you save this country, starts from there. So that's why I'm really nervous to become a parent one day, because I hope I do the best job I can, because they're the ones running it when I'm gone. So, yeah.
All starts there. You heard it right here from the Combat Barbie.
Yeah. Who would have thought that I think like this, right?
So for people who don't know who you are, where can they get the best representation of you to follow you on social media and whatnot?
Oh God, I'm very lewd, guys, because it's a man's world. I thrive in it, and I realize that in the military and out, it is SEX rules the world. So I kind of play on that, and I do what I gotta do. So I don't know. I'm the Combat Barbie on every social media site, but if you're very conservative and don't want to see lewd craziness, don't follow me. It's fine. I have enough. But just know that I am a human, and I'm not what I portray online. It's all a game. It very much is. So yeah, there's more behind the boobies and butt, and so I don't know. Your followers probably don't want to follow me, and that's fine. It's all a game, and just
you never know.
It's a game. Just know, guys, that I'm very self-aware. I'm very aware of what I'm doing and what I'm putting out there. It's all curated perfectly to what I'm trying to do. So yeah, the Combat Barbie and everything, but you don't have to follow me if you don't want to.
Well, you also, I know you've mentioned this before, but you've written some stuff that might be getting published soon here, yeah?
Yes. So I keep going back and forth on that, because I'm like, do I really want people to know my innermost thoughts? And I feel like it could inspire people. I've written many books, and there's a crazy book. It's from P star to poet. I won't say the the word, but from United States Marine to Vegas Extreme. And I've written things that show both sides of the spectrum, because I've been on both sides, and how to get through that. And then I put on the back of it, I'm going to be like, for any outcast, weirdo, underdog like me, to help anybody like that. So, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to publish it. I don't know if I'm ready for the world to see, because even what we've talked about is just surface level. But yeah, I talk about a lot of crazy stories in the Marine Corps and crazy Vegas stories, and it's very lewd, but I feel like people like that. I don't know.
Well, you know what they say, what happens in Vegas gets published into a book.
It follows you the rest of your life. Yeah. So
I like to ask everybody that comes onto the show.
Yes.
How you like your steak.
I don't like steak.
We had this conversation last night. We had we cooked up some steaks. Well, I did, but Rianna, she's not a big meat. Well, not a big beef person.
No, or pork. So your followers aren't going to like this either, but in high school, actually middle school was when I first became, God, one of my friends showed me these PETA videos, and I was like, this is how farm animals are treated. I was traumatized. So I was a vegetarian for 6 years, and then a vegan for 4, because I really wanted to make my part and, do my part and save the world and save animals. And it wasn't ever about health. And I think the vegans are going to come from you, but I feel like you're more unhealthy when you are because you're lacking all these nutrients and vitamins.
Oh, absolutely.
It was more for my heart. I don't, not the health of my heart, but I don't want things to suffer because at my expense. I don't want anyone to suffer at my expense. Can't we do it more humanely? But then obviously when you're doing that, you lack of protein and lack of vitamins. And so I was like, okay, mammals are like us. We're mammals, right? So a cow or a pig has their babies the way we do. I'm a female. They're going to have their babies and they breastfeed the way we do. They're actually very emotionally intelligent. What a pig is as intelligent as a 5-year-old child, which you might be like, oh, that's not that intelligent. But a 5-year-old knows its name, knows how to talk, knows what's going on. And so I'm like, do I really want to eat? I'm not a cannibal. I don't want to eat another person. Do I want to eat a big mammal like me too? To each their own, right? I don't care what anyone else does, but a little fish is nothing like me, or a big fish, but fish are nothing like us. They don't have their babies like us. And a dirty little chicken is nothing like me. So I eat chicken and fish, but excuse me, I have hiccups. But I have a hard time eating beef and pork because I'm like, that's a mammal that gave birth like I did and breastfed like I would, or gave birth like I did. Sorry, gave birth like I would. I sound insane right now just traveling, but to each their own. It's hard for me to eat pork or beef. I don't know. So.
Well, it doesn't really make me lose any sleep or beef.
There you go.
So it's more for me, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, Rianna, thank you so much for coming on and being so open about all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I can't imagine any of this is like super easy to talk about, but people need to hear it. I mean, think about how many Americans are out there struggling with all the stuff that you've struggled with, and they don't know where to go or what to do.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's been down that road at some point where they just are looking for anything, and hopefully, some of the knowledge and wisdom and experience that you've shared today can help them on their own journeys.
Thank you. I hope so. I don't know, like when people ask me, how'd you get sober? What did you do? I didn't go to meetings and I didn't, do stuff like that, or I didn't, become a born again Christian, which I probably should because I used to be really Christian. But I want to be able to tell people those things, but I just removed myself from the situation. So I am sorry if, that's not the best advice for people, but that's my story. I removed myself completely from that lifestyle. You just gotta sometimes start over, and I don't know. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful to someone out there.
Well, thanks for coming on. And if you guys listening want to support the podcast, go to fearnotdoright.com. We got a bunch of merch. We post some of the forbidden episodes on there because we've been taken off of YouTube. So
oh God, you'll definitely be for me then.
Yeah, there's no disinformation here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we got kicked off of YouTube already. Can you believe it?
That's like a good job moment.
I know, right? It's like, all right, maybe we're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Give us a follow on social media at fearnotdoright.com or at fearnotdoright on Instagram, Facebook, and again, hit us up on the website. We've got a lot more merch coming out. Not for the podcast. The podcast is actually a byproduct of the brand. The brand existed beforehand.
There you go.
But again, thank you guys for listening, and fear not, do right.
Woo woo.